G'day folks, Jeff here with my September collection update. G'day folks, welcome back. This is my September collection update, and thankfully not quite as big as last time, but still not exactly small. Oh well. My wallet is weeping as usual, but oh well. Gotta have new music. First up is Bloodbath with Survival of the Sickest. I love the inverted commas on the album cover there, as if, what else is that going to mean? I'm sure it's probably a tribute to Death, Scream, Bloody Gore, which also has totally superfluous. I don't know what the hell they're doing there, inverted commas, so yeah, good way. Nice Wes Ben Scotter album cover as well. Bloke gets around. Yeah, so this is long-running Swedish, sort of once muck around, but now obviously a bit more serious because they're still going on their 6th album. This is blokes from Catatonia, and now for the last 3 albums has been Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost singing, and he does a great job on here. Sounds awesome. I like this a bit more than the previous album, The Arrow of Satan is Drawn. Scary. Yeah, which never really quite grabbed me. I liked Grand Morbid Funeral, the first Nick Holmes album, a bit better than that one. So, but yeah, this one sounds bloody great to me. It's got a sort of simpler song, much like sort of Eaton, called Carved. It's pretty good. I'm sure it'd be good live. So it was kind of spewing I didn't see these guys live when they toured Australia. I think I was planning on going to MDF the year after, and which didn't happen. So, oh well, sorry fellas. So it's got a few guest stars on it, including Barney from Napalm, who's pretty unmistakable. I didn't realise he was a guest star when I first listened to it. I'm like, what the hell? Surely that's Barney. And it was Barney. This is their later style, which is a bit more sort of Florida, Morbid Angel-y sort of style, and a bit of Cannibal Corpse even in here, I think. I kind of still prefer their earlier, just Swedish worship sort of stuff. I don't know, Resurrection Through Carnage is still my favourite of theirs, and bloody good album. I also like that this is credited as Rory Sound Studios, because the producer is, what is his name, Lawrence McArory. But it's a tribute to, I think, Dan Swano's Gory Sound Studios, which is what his initial studio was called, so good work, fellas. So yeah, pretty bloody good. Nothing to blow your socks off, but fine by me. I'm a bit of a diehard collecting this sort of stuff, so yeah, I'm always going to buy it. Yeah, good work. Up next is a couple I got from Peaceville, including Paradise Lost with Live Death on CD and record for some stupid reason. Not really sure why I bothered getting a record to tell the truth, but what the hell. I mostly bought this for the CD, which comes with the DVD version of, because this was a live gig that was put out on video like back in 1990. I don't know why they recorded this before they even recorded the first album. It's weird. Oh, so I don't know, maybe they got lucky and some friend at uni that was doing sound production or something. So, but yeah, the live video is really quite good. It's, I don't know, like 3 or 4 cameras and really quite good sound. It's not perfect sort of sound, and yeah, it is from 1989, so don't expect crystal clear footage or anything like that. So, but yeah, I never owned the video itself back in the day, so I'm glad to have this now on DVD. And yeah, it's a nice sort of alternate version of Lost Paradise, their first album, because it's only got songs off that because they hadn't even recorded that album. So sound is pretty bloody good. Nick Holmes sounds bloody awesome on it. His vocals definitely dominate. He's got some interesting stage moves on the video as well. And Gregor's solos come through nicely, which I'm very happy about. It's a bit unfortunate the rhythm guitar's a bit lacking, but anyway. I really wish they'd done a version of this for Gothic, because I love Gothic. That's my favourite by a mile, as you might have seen in my Peaceville video, but yeah, I still haven't actually seen any songs off that album live, and yeah, hopefully they'll tour again, you never know. Still going strong, so good work. But yeah, for me, highlight, definitely Nick Holmes, kicking ass. I haven't actually listened to the record version yet, but watched the DVD and it's pretty good quality, so yeah, good old Paradise Lost. I also got this from Peaceville, which is the new Psy album, Shiki. It's just came out recently, and yeah, I really quite enjoy it. A strange sort of band, Psy. Got a weird combo of like classic 80s metal sort of style, but then a whole lot of keyboards and weird stuff going on, and yeah, they're a strange sort of band. I'm a big fan of their Imaginary Sonicscapes era. That's probably my favourite of theirs. I never really particularly cared for the first album. God, I can't remember what it's called. Scorn Defeat, that's it, which was one of Euronymous' first releases on whatever it is, Death Like Silence Productions. But yeah, they got a squillion albums since, probably, I don't know, they must have like 12 or 13 albums by now. They put them out pretty regularly. They've kind of gotten a bit heavier of last couple of albums, I think. Singer Mirai sounds very angry on this. I don't know if it's just the fact he's singing in Japanese. It sounds a bit scarier, sort of like Brujeria sort of style of, oh, what the hell's he singing? But yeah, I think it works quite well with their more recent sort of heavy style. You can tell that soundtrack, movie soundtracks, music is a pretty big influence on these guys because, the tunes that they come out with are pretty varied and have some nice soundscapey sort of bits. They also channel King Crimson pretty well on, what is it? Fuyugakuru. Plus there's a spot at the end that sounds very much like Naked City, I think. Can't remember what Naked City song it is, but I know Naked City pretty bloody well, and I first heard it, I went, "Wee, I know that." There's a bit less keyboards on this than I expected, really, but still sounds good to me. For some reason they're playing one show in Australia for the first time. They haven't toured here before. Playing one show in February in Melbourne that looks to be sold out now anyway, so I don't know why they're only playing one gig. Surely they could at least do a gig in Sydney. I don't know, maybe they're only in the country for a brief period. Who knows? Very strange. So yeah, I don't have a ticket for that, which is a bit of a bugger, but maybe they'll be back. As you can see, it's a nice gatefold. Ooh, pretty. All the songs are in Japanese, so no idea what they're about, but I don't care. I don't read lyrics anyway. One thing I'll note on this is the drumming is very hectic, and it's a little overpowering at times, to tell the truth. It's a bit strange, but I do very much like the fact that he uses bongos in there quite a bit, which leads us into the next video. So yeah, this one's well worth it, but yeah, stay tuned for more bongos. And now for a little something different. I picked this one up in person from Landspeed Records, which is my local Canberra record shop. I like buying stuff from them because I like shops. This is probably a little reflective for the camera, but oh well. Very shiny cover. This is Michael Viner's incredible bongo band with their album Bongo Rock. This is all the way back from 1973, although this is a recent reissue because I don't like my chances of just finding that 1973 record from America just sitting around anywhere in Australia. This is essentially, it's all instrumental, so it's got like a normal drummer as well as a bongo like conga player, as well as like guitar, bass, brass and keyboards. It's very weird. It's put together by Michael Viner, who was like a music executive in those days. No idea why. I don't think he actually played on it. He must have just directed what he wanted. So it's all session dudes kicking ass. But I only really discovered this because I'm a big fan of the Beastie Boys, and I was reading through all the very many samples on Paul's Boutique, which is one of my all-time favourite albums, and these guys popped up once or twice, mainly for Looking Down the Barrel of a Gun. The main sort of beat on that is from the song Last Bongo in Belgium on this. It's a very strange sort of thing, but yeah, I saw these guys listed on other band, like I don't know about Public Enemy, but other band sample lists, and went, well, maybe I'll check it out, download it. Kick ass. Got the CD, very kick ass. One of the main songs on this is a cover of Apache, which is a old song by the Shadows, old surf band, which they've done pretty similar, but with lots of bongos and weird drumming in it. I'm a big percussion fan, so this goes down very well for me. But yeah, that song Apache has a really long drum break in it with just drums and bongos, which got sampled to the buggery. It's on a million different things, including Nas, JZ, Moby, MC Hammer, and Grandmaster Flash even sampled it as well. So, and the Dust Brothers, who produced Paul's Boutique, the Good Beasties album, I'd say they had a copy as well because it's on like Young MC as well, and they were big fans, I'd hazard a guess. A lot of the songs are just, they're all instrumental, so there's no singing or anything, which it's kind of good actually. Most of the songs are just, basically vehicles for playing lots of bongos and drums, but which is fine by me. But one of the cool ones is a cover of Inagata Davida by Iron Butterfly, a classic sort of heavy hard rock sort of song, which is hilarious because it's got the tough main riff, which is bloody tough. You would probably remember it from a certain Simpsons episode where they play rock and or roll in the church. But yeah, then it breaks out into... So it plays that cool riff and then breaks out into bongos and uses like horns or trumpets or stuff for the vocals instead of the normal vocals. It's just... I don't know, it's hilarious, but actually sounds really bloody good. Although much like Iron Butterfly, it possibly drags a little long. But the CD version also has like Satisfaction from the Rolling Stones on it. But yeah, if you like percussion, and this is nothing metal about this at all, but... bloody awesome album, I love this one. Also from Landspeed was Tragedy with Vengeance. Bought this second hand because I've had a copy of it for years, but why not get the original? This is the second album of trust punk dudes from Portland. Members of His Hero Is Gone and From Ashes to Rise. Pretty iconic band, I'd say. I've always called this style heavy hardcore because my mate Rod used to call it that, and I think it kind of fits actually, but anyway, it's freaking heavy. It's got great dual vocals which give it a real sort of energy. I love the change up, and the drumming on this is just superb. Dude can drum. This is a good mix of fast and furious plus slower, more thoughtful and melodic sort of stuff, which is still certainly friggin' heavy. I'd say this or Nerve Damage are my favourite of their albums, but can't go wrong with any of them really. Still kind of spewing. I missed their Aussie tour because I think I'd just seen them in New York, which was a cool gig. I went to, what did I go to? It was like, I saw Evoken at one venue, and like a bit of, what were they called? I don't know. I think Watain were headlining that gig, or I don't know, someone I wasn't overly keen to see. So as soon as I saw Evoken, I buggered off into the village and saw these guys at cool little venue, which I also saw a David Lynch cover band play there that just did David Lynch soundtrack music, which was bloody awesome, except the fact I was very hungover, possibly from the night before when I saw Tragedy. Who knows? But yeah, a bit sad that I didn't see him in Australia because I haven't been back since, so maybe the tour didn't go very well, but yeah, kick-ass band, very good. Up next is an order I got from Nuclear Winter Records from Greece, which is the main guy from Dead Congregation's label. First one, Infester with Darkless Unveiled. This is their demo, I believe. This is a sort of short-running band from Seattle. Very, very heavy death metal. Sort of this one's got a touch of the sort of Suffocation kind of chugger. It's definitely demo quality. Sound-wise, it really isn't as good as this album, which is amazing to the depths. In Degradation, which is their one and only album, which is, bloody awesome. Track that one down instead of this one if you can. This one's still bloody good. It's a bit more straightforward, though, than the Weirdo one. To the depths is, special. Very weird, very heavy death metal. Band members has actually backed Rob Deathrage from Meat Shits for a while, so there's cool little... thingy inside it with old flyers and the like. Just really pretty. I love a good old flyer collage going on. There's also 2 rehearsal tracks on side B, which actually kind of sound better than I expected. Really, I didn't have my hopes up. So yeah, very nice reissue, and from a great band. But yeah, definitely check the album out. That rules. While grabbing Infester from Nuclear Winter, I also grabbed Trench Hell with Southern Cross Ripper. This is a old Canberra, Coast, Melbourne, not really sure. Australian band. They play sort of classic black thrash speed kind of metal, much like a lot of other Aussie bands. The core of this band was Kel from Psychrist and Hushy from Gospel of the Horns and various other bands, and both were in Kill for Satan, good old Canberra band. They only really did a demo, an EP, or this EP, and a split with another Aussie band, Assaulter, all of which, of course, I own. I've had this on CD since it came out, but I don't know, for some reason I missed the records, so what the hell, chuck it on, add to cart. Some reason this has got Gyro from like Nocturnal Graves and Destroyer and a million other bands on drums, even though Kel's a perfectly good drummer, but I don't know, maybe he couldn't make it. It certainly does have even vocals though, doing his best Tom G Warrior sort of style. I think this version comes with a dirty great big poster as well. Them looking tough. Look at that, tough. It's great artwork by Simon from Assaulter, who also did like Sacrifice and Armored Angel and a Destroyer 666 7-inch called Of Wolves, Women and War, which I'm not going to show the cover of. I'm very glad I own it because it's a bit rude. These guys, they did tour around Europe quite a bit actually, with Ian from Shackles and I can't remember that, Kev I think was the drummer's name. But I'm not sure if they only played one Australian show, but they only played one that I went to, and they didn't play Canberra. They played Sydney at Evil Invaders, which is a festival that Hushy used to organise. It was a bloody awesome festival. And of course, they ruled live. Kel was hilarious as a singer. Sonny's on, snarling away, channeling rock, just being a bit rude and crude. Good works. So yeah, killer EP, black thrash, you know what you're going to get. I don't think this one's got any covers on it, no, but 6 killer songs, well worth it. Up next is one I got off Discogs. This is Grenade with the Howling Damned. This is ancient metal of death from the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, not too far from Sydney. These guys play a sort of, I don't know, black thrash death kind of style, much in the vein of the last band and, you know, your Destroyer 666s of the world, but a bit more deathly, I think. They only really did, I don't know, like a rehearsal demo on about 2 7-inches, and then this, which actually has said 2 7-inches on it, and about, well, it's got 3 brand new songs and 1 re-recorded song as well, so it's differing sounds on here, but it all fits together pretty bloody well. They've always had a great knack of sort of a really good build-up. The second half of the song Metal of Death is killer, and do really like Venom of God a lot as well. Bo's got a really nice sort of raspy voice. Works very well, I think, with this. This has got the Dyer brothers from Stone Wings and also Ben from Dark Dominion, who, I'm not sure if they were the band I saw at Bloodlust that had like halberds. Maybe that was another band. I don't know. I like a band with weapons on stage. They were around for, I don't know, a number of years in the 2000s or something or other. I'm not really sure, I can't remember. It's a bit hazy back then. But after some friction, most of them left and Nigel continued on, the singer and guitarist. He continued on played a couple of gigs with a totally different lineup. I think he's Chaotic Impurity bandmates or something or other. But I don't recall it being particularly as good as when I saw them with the original lineup. They don't seem to have recorded anything since, so I don't really know what the current status is, but this is definitely well worth getting. It's got pretty much everything of theirs other than a crappy sounding rehearsal. I did see that original lineup at a Bloodlust festival, which is a killer old festival out in Blacktown in Sydney. They had some fun times there, although I'm pretty sure Bo was a little tipsy at one of them. Too much of their classic "Two He's Old." They were a fun band live, but I think that was a little messy, that show. But anyway, killer band. Definitely worth checking out. And look at these guys. True blue, mate. Southern Cross, yeah. This next one I got direct from Nuclear Blast. This is Macabre with Murder Metal. This is, unfortunately, the beginning of their patchy albums. Although it's much better than Grim and Scary Tales and the one that I had in the last video, Carnival of Killers. That was, this one still sounds bloody awesome. It's got a hell of a lot of cool songs on it. The bass sounds great on this, especially on Acid Bath Killer, which is one of the better songs. And Dennis Menace, very busy on drums as always. That man is keen. My favourites on this are probably Fatal Foot Fetish and The Fast Poison, and then Werewolf of Bedburg. This is pretty similar, very similar in style to Dharma, but nowhere near as good, I don't think. But yeah, still kick ass. I think this is about the era when they toured Australia once or twice and were killer live. Not overly happy with Nuclear Blast sending it all, nice and battered around from being sent. Ooh, look at those boys, looking tough. Yeah, being sent with the sleeve in there, but oh well, maybe pack your records a bit better, folks. But yeah, well worth getting. Glad to have this on record. I see that now that Dharma documentary kind of thing on Netflix is doing quite a bit of business. Macabre seem to have pumped out their ads for their Dharma t-shirts and CD reissues and so on, so hopefully they might get it out on record, because it's possibly my favourite album of Macabre's, and I'd like that on record, so yeah. But anyway, this is well worth it. Up next are 3 albums from American band Negative Plane. I got these from Total War Records. I think Invictus Records from Ireland just reissued the first 2 albums and then put out the new album, The Pact. So thought, what the hell, I'll grab them all. Why not? These are guys are a weird sort of, I don't know, black metal is definitely what style they are, but that's a very odd sort of style. Sounds very 80s sort of, I don't know, weird band. They should sound like they could be from like Greece or Czech Republic or God knows what. They sound a bit like Cult of Ghouls at times, to tell the truth, even though not exactly like them, but just something similar. Have a very jangly sort of guitar sound, very clean. But yeah, first up, we have their first album, In Secula Sectorum, I don't know, something or other in Latin. Very spiffy album cover. I always like that cover. Yeah, this is their first album from 2006. It's a lot rawer than their later albums. A bit faster and more full-on and less reserved. They're only a 2-piece here, and their Celtic Frost influences kind of shine through a bit. Which is fine by me, not a problem at all. They also give Vomitor a run for their money on the echoey delay vocal sort of works. It's possibly a little too full on here like it is in some of the Vomitor albums, but I do enjoy it as well. Production on this really isn't perfect. A few of the cymbals are a bit too loud, but overall pretty kick-ass and nice artwork and yeah, tough looking dudes. So that's the first album. Next album is Stained Glass Revelations, which came out in 2011. This one's a lot more polished, but there's still plenty of squiggly, destruction-y guitar sounding bits. I'm glad to have this, as I managed to misplace I've got the cover, but I don't have the CD of my CD version of this, so I don't know where the hell that is. It'll probably show up in one of my thousands of CD covers. There's a double on someone else. So yeah, it's a bugger. But yeah, this version, I think it's not gatefold, but I tell you what, it comes with a very spiffy booklet, which did come with a CD as well, but it's got a very nice art in it, and it looks a hell of a lot better in much larger sort of size. This is art from the great Timo Katola, who unfortunately passed away last year, the year before maybe. Great artist from Sweden or Norway. I think I tape traded with very briefly, so yeah, very much missed. But yeah, he does great work on this and a shitload of other bands. This has got classy little sort of mellow songs in between the longer metal songs, and by longer I mean pretty friggin' long. These guys don't muck around. Not quite as bad as Reverend Bazaar from the last video, but yeah, most of these are like 7 minutes plus sort of songs. From this album onwards, they have a permanent bass player who works very well. Sounds great. It's quite loud, or sort of, I don't know, just works really well with the clean guitars that they use. I saw them around this era with Hooded Menace and Hedonist in New York at what was it, Union Pool or something I think it was called. A really good gig. These guys are a little out of place for a mostly Death Tomb sort of band. But yeah, they were killer live, all up there, and they're serious looking dudes. They were all in leather jackets in bloody steamy bloody New York. But yeah, great band. I would recommend this album, probably more so than the first album. I think this one is pretty bloody killer. It's just a bit more psychedelic, a bit weirder in style. They got a lot more, not heavy bits, but just go off in weird tangents. But yeah, excellent album. And then lastly, I got the brand new album. Oh shit! Sorry, just trashing the place. Got the new album, The Pact. This one only came out this year. It's essentially not that different than the first 2 albums, I've got to say. A bit better production, and yeah, it's sort of a combination of the styles. This one's a bit more lively than the Stained Glass Revelations. But yeah, it's got a great story. I actually read the lyrics for once on one of these. Cool story about building a evil Cathedral or something or other. But yeah, I would recommend checking these guys out if you like weird sort of style black metal that doesn't really sound like black metal, it sounds sort of very 80s. Yeah, awesome stuff. Last part of my order from Total War was Ataraxi with The Last Mirror. This is their brand spanking album. Oh, it's probably a bit shiny for the camera, sorry about that. This is an excellent Spanish death doom sort of band. For some reason their previous two albums never really quite clicked for me, although now that I listen to them again, I'm like, why the hell didn't this click for me? I don't know. But I have several mates that are big fans, so I thought, yeah, I'll check it out. And yeah, very happy with that. The first song on this, well, first proper song, is very slow. But, and a lot slower than I remember their previous albums to be. They play a sort of lumbering, I don't know, kind of bolt thrower meets death doom sort of style, which sounds great to me. The third song on this, Decline, is a lot faster and brings back that bolt thrower sort of sound in parts. And the vocals remind me of good old Martin Van Drunen a bit. So, yeah, pretty simple, but bloody good death doom. Well worth checking out. Up next are a couple of ones I got from Behind the Mountains Productions, which is from Poland, I think. Don't know why I ordered two Swedish albums from Poland, but anyway, well worth it. This one is Carbonized with Disharmonization. This is the second album from these very strange Swedish band. This is sort of weird death metal meets like Voivod and Primus, maybe? I don't know. It was like Lars Rosenberg from Entombed and Christopher and Peter from Therion. They started as a lot grindier, more full-on sort of carcassy kind of sounding band. Their first album, For the Security, is still a bit weird, but yeah, this album is very weird. Half of it really isn't death metal. It's got like heaps of clean bass and weird singing vocals, and it's odd. I think it's the sort of album you probably have to listen to a couple of times for it to really click. When I heard this back in the day when it came out, I think. I hadn't heard the early stuff, and this just fit perfectly in with the Canberra Belko sort of scene at the time of like Alchemist and Codpiece, weird sort of bands. We were all huge fans of Voivod as well, so yeah, this clicked pretty well. We used to play the song Lord of Damnation on radio a hell of a lot, because yeah, it's a special album. And yeah, Christopher Therion's his Celtic Frost obsession continues here with some of the wailing, mesmerised sort of style vocals. Honestly, it's a bit hit and miss in parts, but after repeated listens, it really does sort of seep in. This came out in '93, but I think this is the first vinyl pressing from last year, I think. Third album, Screaming Machines, I don't have a copy of. I listened to it again for the first time in many years the other day, and it's pretty similar to this, but just kind of shit. That really didn't grab me. Whereas this is odd. Boys looking serious sort of stuff. Yeah, it's just odd, quirky death metal, but really halfly not death metal. A whole lot of time changes and weirdness going on. So if you're after some odd stuff, definitely check this band out. I love this album. Also from Behind the Mountains is more Swedish death metal action, this time with Sultry with Into Eternity. As you may have recalled from last month, I got the second album, Bitterness, on record, so yeah, this one's way better. This is a very underrated Swedish death metal, I reckon. Hardly ever hear these guys mentioned, but this album is a corker. This was recorded at Sunlight Studios with Thomas Skosberg, as usual, but it really doesn't sound like Entombed or Dismember at all, particularly. It does slightly, but really not. Doesn't have that rusty sort of sound. These guys have great use of melody and really nice solos. I don't know, they just work perfectly well. Just really great performances all around, really varied drumming, sometimes prominent bass, and yeah, heavy, despairing sort of vocals that kind of remind me of Afflicted at times, fellow Swedes. Yeah, first three songs on this, Into Eternity, Depression and Tears, are probably my favourite. Especially when they slow down, those are the bits that work really particularly well. But yeah, if you like Swedish death metal and haven't heard this, bloody get on it. It's mandatory, I reckon. This next band I got from Downtuned Records, which is an Aussie label that also put out a Sanctioned album, which is killer, and Pizza Death, and From Womb to Tomb. But they did just put out Wretch with Survival of the Rotten. This is a local Canberra band that I've seen live many a time. They're excellent sort of death grind with slowly sort of dissonant sort of style, mostly very fast, but yeah, they also slow down nicely on the sludgy lambs to the noose. Not sure if that makes sense, but anyway. Great Aussie samples as usual. Last song, The Rat King, is probably my favourite on this, but whole thing's killer. And they do kick ass live. Great sort of screamy Iron Monkey sort of style vocals from Benji, and yeah, killer stuff. My only real complaint is it's not long enough. I've been a bit slack with this band. This is the first thing I own of them, despite them having like 4 albums or something. But yeah, I've seen them live a lot. I'll put the hard yards in. Good work, lads. Last but definitely not least, we have Pathologist with putrefactive and cadaverous odes about necroticism. Can't imagine you can work out what this band sounds like based on this cover. Unsurprisingly, these guys have probably heard a smidge of Carcass, I think. I love a good clone band, and not everything has to be original, so hey. But this is from like 1992, so it's cloned at the time, at least. But these guys have that important groove that Carcass had as well, which really bloody helps. Vocals are just deep pitch shifted, which is, gets a bit samey after a while. They probably should change it up a bit, and it does sound a bit more like Carcass. But anyway, before I listened to this, I bunged it on my Discogs list, just for the hell of it, and happened to read a review of this, which was not very flattering about the quality, and yeah, it is a bit crackly. This is the 2011 version, I think, from... I can't even remember what label is it. Crush the Silence Records. I should have known. Well, I mean, I did buy this mail order, but look at how squashed and crappy looking that looks. Hilarious. Yeah. Not the greatest. Apparently, yeah, the cover's a bit pixelated when you look at it closely as well. That writing could be a bit more crisp. Probably can't really tell on camera, but yeah, in person, ain't great. Yeah, apparently this is the sped up version that they released. Well, they didn't. I think some other record label released it. Originally came out on, I don't know, some ancient label back in 1992. And then a bit later they reissued this in their second album, which has a similarly stupid long title. But for some reason sped them up, I think, so they all fit on like one album, one CD, which is just, yeah. So this is the sped up version, which I didn't know any the wiser, because I already had downloaded this, and it was also the sped up version. But apparently it's just been reissued last year by Extremely Rotten Productions and Nasfer Personal Demon Records. Love that label name, which has the correct speed, so either track them down or listen to their Bandcamp, which I've linked below. You can hear the original version. Honestly, this sped up version sounds slightly more interesting, to tell the truth. Oops. But yeah, at any rate, killer gore grind stuff, can't go wrong. Second album's pretty bloody killer as well, so yeah, I think one of these guys is now in that Six Signer Syndrome band, so good work, lads. So yeah, thanks, Brad. This one's all the way from Radical Blurst. So yeah, killer stuff. So thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.